Hello, and welcome back to this Fireside chat. Today we have Enrico Gallo from the city of Torino. Hi, Enrico. How are you doing?
Hello, everybody. Fine, thanks. Thank you, Liam.
Thank you. Thank you much for being here and also helping out with this challenge. And maybe before we kick off this chat, maybe you can tell us a bit about yourself and your role at the city of Torino. What exactly do you do?
Yeah. I'm an environmental engineer and I'm a manager in the Environmental Department here in Turin. But at the same time, I'm co-chairing the working group Noise of Eurocities. Eurocities is the biggest association of European cities. And so I'm dealing with noise issues. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess you have a lot of experience regarding noise in the cities, and how was it like to deal with noise in cities? Maybe let's start with a bit more generic question, and because I think we hear a lot about air pollution, perhaps sometimes on social media or on the news, or I mean, it's pretty much you can hear something about it daily and how it gets worse. But we don't hear so much about noise pollution, and we know because we research for this topic that it does have an impact on health. But maybe you can tell a bit more about this to our participants, like what actual impact can it have and why is it a problem?
Yeah, we estimate all across Europe the noise pollution is the second factor of health impact on urban areas. Different sources we are facing because transportation is noisy and the power plants, industrial area are noises, but also nightlife or personal exposure to noise could be dangerous in long term. It's not simply a matter of hair loss, it's more on stress and long time exposure and changing in our habits and our sleep. And so the main long-term killer is sleep disturbance.
Yeah, see, and what can this sleep disturbance lead to?
Well, you had change in your hormones, and you have long-term health problem due to cardiovascular diseases, or also changes in your attention, and you can have some effects on children at school or on elderly people in rest. And so you should consider that big cities are all of them is facing the noise pollution.
And how do you see the role of data in helping kind of to shape these policies or any initiatives to reduce the noise?
Well, you can consider that we have a traditional approach in modeling noise or making measurement and making a network monitoring network in order to know the information about noise. And this is the basis of policies. When you know your phenomenon, you can start speaking about them to politicians, you can increase citizens' awareness, and you can start monitoring the effectiveness of your action. And so for us in Torino, the choice to start this monitoring in long term has been the basis of a change of the approach in noise pollution policy, because now all stakeholders are aware of the problem. And this is why also, as with the support of Eurocities, we decide to join this very exciting challenge about data.
Yeah. And maybe just real quickly, can you tell a bit about San Salvador and what kind of name? Because I know, okay, let's start from the beginning. Maybe can you tell us a bit about the network of noise sensors that you have, and why did you choose to place them in San Salvador, which is the region we're talking about? Maybe just give some context there to our participants.
Yeah, with pleasure. Well, different cities have different approaches to noise monitoring. You can choose top class monitoring and start investing 10,000 euros for 1 point. And this is the legal basis to have a strong monitoring, or you can improve the number of points and using low cost sensors. And now with MEMS microphones or a smartphone or some hardware, you can build up your own sound level meter with some analysis firmware on it. And so that's what we did, we start with the legal, official, class 1, very costly points, and then we add this distributed network of smartphones. We develop an open app, and you can download for the market because it's open noise map, an open noise app you can download and measure noise. And then, of course, you have to use a smart data platform in order to collect this huge quantity of data. Let's imagine it's 5 years that we collect 1 second LAQ from 10 points. So really an impressive quantity of data.
Yeah, that's also really amazing. And I think you're collecting it from 2016, am I right?
That's true, yes, and still running and increasing the number of points. Yeah.
That's already very interesting, especially for the data scientists that are in this team. That's already a lot of data that they can grab on. And so you have this network of noise sensors to measure noise levels and to kind of understand what's happening in terms of noise in the cities. And has it given you already any insight or anything that could be useful, for example, for helping you towards reducing those noise level pollutions?
Well, we start monitoring the nightlife district, San Salvador, because it was increasing as a social problem. The number of complaints increases. Also, the disappointment of people that can't sleep because of so many young people spending all night outside. And on the basis of this network, we wrote an action plan, and we were the first city in Italy using this approach and having this action plan. And of course, you can use some hard action in order to reduce opening time, for example, or you can use soft approach. And thanks to the awareness on this problem, we start some communication strategies using street artists or using soft skill to explain what's going on and try to push up messages of urban behavior in order to improve the quality of nightlife.
And have you seen so I guess that's the great thing about these sensors is that you can, you can have an action and then you can see if there is actually a reaction and if you see a trend. Have you seen that happening?
Yeah, we can monitor it. Of course, hard action have the biggest impact. If you reduce or change the rules of selling alcohol or closing the bar, you will follow exactly what's going on. But also now we are exiting from the COVID crisis and we are following the changes in curfew hours and in nightlife in a very precise way. So we can predict a little bit how many people are going on or if a curfew policy is working or not, looking at the noise level in the streets.
Mm-hmm. That's actually a really good other use for this noise levels. That's really smart. And what about any other cities or initiatives? Do you have any other examples that you can think of to kind of start get the creative juices running in our teams?
Well, focusing on noise monitoring, you have very, very interesting experience in Barcelona. They have a huge monitoring network. Also in Lyon, in France, and in Paris, they are testing a very smart audio camera with the tetrahed, and so they can mix up images, direction, and intensity in colors in order to better understood what's going on in the street of the nightlife. But also in Amsterdam and Rotterdam, they use this approach in focusing and using artificial intelligence in order to detect the sources and to have a better policies in managing clubs or discos in order to reduce noise. So all across Europe, you have different approaches, and especially in nightlife, now we have different cities, and we are trying to coordinate ourselves in this association of Eurocities in order to share experiences and to share also ideas. And it's what we hope also the result of this challenge will be shared between cities. So it's great.
Yeah, that is right. That is right what you said. The goal of this, in the whole World Data League is kind of, even though we take one city as case study. We hope that it can be kind of transportable to other cities and we can also share it. And I think this network of Eurocities is going to be very important towards that. And maybe since you've been working in noise for so long, and I mean, with the city, I think so it's already, if I'm not mistaken, you already have a lot of experience. How do you see the future of noise management in the city, and where do you think it's going to be heading?
Well, again, the COVID crisis has changed a little bit the habits. And so for noise from transportation, I think now everybody is more aware of alternatives, of the value of green areas or quiet areas, and I think the sustainability in transport will help us a lot. Not only the electric vehicle, but a real change in priority in urban life, and this is for traffic. For nightlife, well, it depends very much on the climate. This is very funny, but the problem is increasing in changes in latitude due to the changes of how summer is hot, and also a little bit of a cultural approach. And I think this is the really open challenge, because we are facing how a city is a strange place when we do not meet each other, and so everybody now really wants to meet friends in open space and enjoy the urban spaces again. And so that's why we try from starting that challenge for nightlife, because this is really an open issue for cities.
That's actually interesting to talk about, because we have one question, which is how much changes have you been seeing with the COVID situation in terms of noise? And then as it's open, I think you already replied to this, but maybe you can go a bit into more details on it.
Yeah, it was dramatically changes. You cannot recognize cities, and you can have open countryside level in the middle of the city. If you take some picture and follow the levels in a month, and in the half of the month you have the total curfew due to the COVID, you will not recognize a urban spot. This is very important also from a cultural point of view, because the soundscape is part of the city, and during the COVID crisis we have seen a total change in the soundscape. And you will analyze all data, and you will detect this huge change.
Yeah, I think that this is something important to note, I guess, also for the participants, that up until the COVID times, probably there's going to be some consistency in terms of data, and I mean, how it repeats itself and so on. But I think there's going to be a lot of then differences when you start looking after the COVID, which could make, if you're creating an Vinava, I think it could be interesting to look at those, but it's not going to be super straightforward. So I'm really excited actually to see what the participants will come up with the data. And maybe there's another question. It's how, if you could describe a bit the district of San Salvador and why you have chosen exactly that district as your case study.
Yeah. San Salvador is an historical district near the railway station, and it was object of a urban renovation because he had some crime problems, some poverty problem, and so the public decided to invest in order to renovate it, to increase the quality in the district. And 20 years ago, when we used to do this kind of policy, the city decided to increase the number of pubs and restaurants. And after we had some changes in the legislation, now it's totally free. But this is a very interesting point also for the challenge, because after a certain number of pubs and bars, you have a critical mass, and people decide to go there because there's people, and not only because there's a pub or there's a bar. Because over there you can meet someone, and every night you can meet something interesting to do. And this phenomena is not only focused on San Salvador. I also add some extra point outside the district, because now we are facing new problems or new vibrant areas outside the district, and following a little bit the same dynamics. So you start with a few bars and people go there, and then more people out, and then you have a very high noise level. And then the mood changes and people look for a new place, and so on. So for a city, it's still an open problem because this is not a fixed source. It's people going there and spending nightlife outside and chatting. And 10 years ago was one district, now is San Salvador plus others, and into 10 years we don't know. So one other point of analysis could be also, how can I detect some critical mass of economical activity that can help city to predict a little bit where this phenomena could start again?
That's a really good idea indeed. I think there's one more question going back to COVID. I don't know if you looked at this or not, but if actually, so I will just read the question. Maybe it's easier. So have you seen an over increase of noise pollution now that COVID measures have relaxed? In other words, have you seen that people now are even more noisy than before being closed indoors for so long?
Well, we are not so sure, but we have seen that the peak of noise was concentrated on the edge of the curfew. So you can imagine this pressure of people wanting to be there until the very last minute before the curfew. And so all this sound energy, which is human energy and speaking energy, concentrated in a few hours. Yes, you will see this phenomena. And now there is no more curfew and we are following more or less the same trend as before. But of course, we are feeling this energy. And this is another point of view, because we are not a little town and countryside. And many cities have this role of disrupting vibrant cities, and this is an important part also of the city life. So you have to look both the side of the problem.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Then there's one question that is in 3, so I will just read it out loud. Which are the projects in which have worked during these years from 2016? Which are the implications in population? Okay, let's take them one by one. So first question is, what are the projects that you have worked during these years since you have this data from 2016, and how is it related to this noise pollution?
What's the process going on since then?
Yes. What kind of projects have you worked since you started collecting this data?
Yeah, of course. We take a couple of years in order to tune up the system and to be confident to use the low-cost sensor compared with some legal campaign. And this is the first part. And then we start a European project, the Monica project, and you have some details in order to mix all this information and wrote down a plan. And if you can imagine, for a city, and first plan in Italy was not so easy, because you have to include all the stakeholders, all the policy part, and the citizens, and on. And now we have the plan, and we are following different areas, and then we had the crisis of COVID. And so now we are in action and trying to tune up some reduction of noise due to changes in time opening or some strategies in parking and some communication campaigns. And so all these data were the basis of writing a plan, then monitoring the COVID crisis, and then we are ready for action.
Mm-hmm. And then what were these? So what implication did these projects have on the Torino population from your point of view? That's again from the same question.
Okay. When you start using data, you avoid the mythology of phenomena. It's a common point in order to discuss what's going on. Because when you have so many different stakeholders, the pub owners, the young people going there, the people living there, it's very, very difficult to speak each other and to look for a common framework. And we use the knowledge as the basis of the discussion. And I think this is a key point for all the cities, not only for noise, of course. For all environmental issues, information and transparency is a key point in order to have a common level of awareness. And of course, the problem is still open. There is no magic to solve still now. But the fact that we know the trend, the new areas, and the old one living a little bit more on rest, and so on, well, we can tune up our action in a very precise way, and this is the strength of knowledge. This is our approach.
That's really good. And just the last part of that question, because again, it was three questions in one. Which measures, which of these measures you talked about have taken into account also the City Hall of Torino? I guess all of them, because you're working there, right?
Yeah. I will share with you the action plan, because complexity requires an approach on different dimensions. So it's communication, it's traffic management, it's urban planning long term, and it's cooperating and looking for new, also social responsibility of economical actors, and also it's using a little bit the power of administrative laws, so reducing the use of terraces, reducing time of opening, and so on. So you don't have one single key action. You have to mix different approaches, and of course, the main sources is people behavior, and so the communication and awareness is a key point. It's not simply changing the engine or changing the asphalt for noise of cars. It's trying to retune, and change a little bit the rhythm and the time of using the open space and the city at night. So very, very complex, long term, but at the same time, knowing what's going on in different parts, you can use the best approach in the best place.
It's kind of like having different dials and just changing a bit here, a bit here, a bit here.
Yeah.
So I know you have to run, you have to be in Moscow in 10 minutes. But maybe let's just, one last question. It's that the participants will be working on a predictive model, but a big chunk of the evaluation criteria is also related on how much they understand the problem and how the models can be used, and also what impact this can have. Do you have any last tips before we leave for the participants in order for them to help to think about it?
Yeah, you will see, looking at the data, there's a sort of regularity in the weekend, and so the rhythm of the nightlife is quite regular, and this is the first point. Then you will have a look to seasonality. Seasonality is not so interesting because Turin is a city of universities, and we have a lot of students living here, and so also winter is a hot part of the year due to the noise or due to the number of students living there. And then you can mix the approach, because we have big places, open square, and also other little streets. And some places, the main source is a pub with their owners and the people going there. And the other part is a place recognized as an urban spot, very lively, when people would like to be there because it's a beautiful place in the city. And so let's remember, it's not the same phenomena. There are more phenomena overlapping and giving us this total level of noise, detecting different points.
Okay. Well, I think that's all the time we have. I think we're in 1 minute overtime, but Enrico, thank you so much for your time. I know that today you will be available on Discord. If anyone has any more technical questions about the data set, they can, so please do explore it today, because that's when Enrico is going to be available. And also we will be able to reach him a bit later, but I think if you have time today to ask those questions on Discord, that'll be the most ideal thing. Enrico, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you, Leon. And good luck, everybody. Bye.
For the rest, everyone, I think the last thing that's left to do, it's to kind of wish you good luck I think the challenges by now should be available on the platform. Feel free to hop on. You already know the drill. You have Discord for questions or anything else, and we will keep on communicating with you there. And yeah, goodbye and good luck.